Yes, my friends, welcome back to Bazen Graphics. We are showcasing our part 2 of the tutorial. So the part 1 of the tutorial, we are creating this donut. If you want to learn how to create it, please watch part 1 of the tutorial. This one, we are going to be adding an icing on top of our donut. How? Now, I'm using a reference image. If you don't know how to use the reference image, you just have to come on the left here, select image editor, click this icon of the folder and go to where you downloaded or put your image, and you can bring it in here. So I'm using this image as a reference. We shall be creating something like this. Yep, so this is the icing, the one you see here, orange. Is it orange or pink? Yeah, on top here, this is the icing we are going to be creating on top of our donut. As you can see in the image, it takes the shape of our donut. So the first thing we are going to do, let's first move our donut a little bit up. Yep, G along the Z axis. Let's pull it up so that it can be a little bit at the surface. Yep, so like I said, we are going to be creating an icing that has a shape like our donut. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to duplicate our shape. You can duplicate it in many ways. I like using copy and paste. Command V, Command C, Command V, or you can use Control something on the Windows. So now we have on our outline, as you can see, there are two toruses. There's this one and there's that one. So this one, we are going to be using it as the top torus or the top shape. So let's first rename it. Double click on it and rename it to icing. It's going to be our icing. And if I am to move it, let me first position here. If I'm to move it by clicking G on the keyboard, G along the Z axis, you can see that it's the same shape as our donut. That's what we want. Right click, take it back to the previous position. So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to reduce our icing, because as we can see in our image here, the icing is half of our donut. Yeah, it's half of our donut. So that's what we are going to be doing. We are going to be cutting it. I can say cutting it. To cut it, we have to go to the edit mode. To go to the edit mode, you come to the left here, top here, select here on the drop down and select edit mode. So when you select edit mode, you can be able to select these faces and edges, and you can be able to delete them. Hope you understand. So that's what we want to delete. But if I do that and I go down here on this position, we see that the behind ones are not selected. Yet we want to delete the whole part, the downer part. So how do we do it? We just have to come to another view. If we go to the right top here, there's this icon here which says Toggle X-ray. Toggle X-ray, you click on it and you can see through the whole object. So if you are seeing through the whole object, you will be able to select the edges. So make sure that the edge is selected. Here right now, I'm selecting the edges. No, make sure the vertices are selected. Go to the vertex option here and make sure you can select the down ones here. So you can see we have selected all the vertices. Now we can be able to look around our donut. You can see that the whole section, lower section, has been selected. So we are going to click X on our keyboard for deleting, and we can say let's delete the vertices. You select the vertices option and you can see that we have deleted the lower part. So if we go back to the object mode, you can see that our part has been deleted, and we can still go back to the viewport or the solid way of looking at it. So let's uncheck the toggle X-ray and go back to our shape. As you can see now, it's a bit coming out little by little. Let's continue. Right now, these things that you are seeing here, those shapes, the flickering, those things, don't worry about them. These ones are just it's just Blender which doesn't know whether to select the edges of the top one or select the faces of the lower one. So it's being confused, but it's all okay. We shall work on it. So the next thing is we have to provide a solid layer. As you can see here, our icing in this image, for example, on this top donut, it is thick. You can see that it is thick. So that's what we are going to be creating for our donut. How? We are going to select our icing Then we are going to add a modifier. You go here on the right here, this option is here, this icon. We are going to add a modifier. Right now you can see we have a subdivision modifier which we created in part 1. Now we are going to add another one, generate, and we're going to select solidify. So when I select solidify, as you can see, our object has been given a surface. So you just have to come to solidify options, and we are going to change offset here, the offset value. We are going to change it to 1. As you can see, the flickering is going, but I want you to see the transformation. You can see there's a transformation. So the offset means they are moving it away from its position to the outer part. If it's positive, negative, it's the inner part, the solid section. So take it to 1, and we can put the thickness of our solidify modifier to 0.025. I think that's enough. If we see our donut, you can see that it has solidified. As you can see, the object is trying to come out the way we want it. You can see we are approaching this icing object. So after this, what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to make these dropping or dripping these dripping oils, this dripping icing sugar of ours. Are you seeing that shape is a bit up? There is a dripping part here, and so forth. So how do we do that? If we go to our edit mode right now, if we go to our edit mode, most of your things may not change to the edit mode. The one we were seeing those edges and faces. How do we see those edges and faces? Let's first go back to the object mode. We go to our solidify modifier. There are icons here. Right now we can, if we hover on this, they are saying edit mode, display modifier in edit mode. So that's what we want. If we check it and we go back to the edit mode, we are able to see the modifier. We are able to see our shapes and icons. Yep. So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to more subdivide our icing. Why? Because the more layers, the more vertices and edges we have, the more information we have to edit our object. You will understand it later. So for now, first add a subdivision modifier so that we can have more divisions and more edges and more faces. Remember, to apply that modifier, you have to go back to the object mode, and remember we already have a modifier here called subdivision. Let's subdivide it more. So we just have to come to our subdivision here. Is it the subdivision? Yeah, subdivision modifier here, the one that we created before in part 1. You come to the icon here, the drop down icon, and click apply. So when I click apply and I go back to the edit mode, we are seeing that we have been given more divisions, we have been given more faces and edges and so forth. So what are we going to do next? We are going to be changing our icing here. So the first thing I want you to do, which is very helpful, you understand these things better. Just come and hide some of these edges. So first come to our this first part here. Let's select the edge option. Select one edge here and go to select loops and select edges. Select loops and select edge loops. As you can see, select other edges that look like it. So the second thing we want to select also this loop on top, the other loop on top, until we reach somewhere that I want you to reach. So you just have to come to again, go to select and more or less. Select more. As you can see, they have selected the one on top, and again go to select more or less. Let's do it faster so that we don't waste time. And select again and again. I think that can be okay. That is okay. Let's select another one. So after selecting up that level, click letter H on the keyboard. It is for hiding. We are hiding these ones that we have selected. If we press letter H on the keyboard, we are hiding these edges and faces. The reason we are hiding these edges and faces is that we do not want them to be stretched. We don't want them to be stretched when we are creating these icing, dripping icing things here. These ones here, when we are changing our shapes and so forth, you see these shapes are being changed like this. Also, these places are being changed. So we are hiding these shapes here because we don't want them to be stretched and we don't want them to be changed. We want them to be, when after our stretching and playing around, we want them to be in the same position and not stretched. That's why we are hiding them. The ones that we want to work on, these ones are okay. These extreme ones are okay. These ones here where we are seeing the shapes, these ones are okay. We can change them. So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to start changing our shapes. How? Let's make sure that our vertices the vertices option is selected, and we are going to be using what we call proportional editing. Make sure proportional editing is selected. If you don't know how to use proportional editing, please watch part 1. Make sure that proportional editing is selected, and make sure that smooth option is also selected. So when we come and select, for example, if we come and select this part here, this vertex here, we press G on the keyboard. You can see that brought us the area of influence where we are going to be moving, and we are going to moving it down. As you can see, we are going to be moving it down. So if we are to go back to the object mode, we are seeing that it's coming out the way we want it. As you can see, it's coming out the way we want it. But the only issue is, if you look at it sideways, we can see that there is space between our donut and our icing. And you know that an icing flows on the donut. So we have to make sure that this part we have pulled out has to flow on the donut. It doesn't flow away from the donut, because that can't happen, because the flowing of the icing flows along the lower donut. So how do we do it? Let's go back. Let's undo. And what we are going to enable is what we call snapping. We're going to enable snapping. It's going to snap our icing on top of our donut. So there's an option here for snapping. It's here. Click on it and make sure you have selected face project. There are other options here, but please select face project. So when we have selected face project, and we go back and do our movement, select the vertex, click G on the keyboard, and move it to where you want. So it depends on how you want to move it. So if we go back to the edit mode, or the object mode, sorry, if we look at on the side, we can see that our dripping has been brought on our donut. You can see that there is no longer space here. Everything we pull has to go along our donut. Hope you understand what I'm saying. So now let's go back and play around with it, and let's go back to the edit mode, play around with our donut so that we can come up with anything here. So play around with it according to you, so that you can come out with something nice. So as you can see, for me, I'm pulling these ones. G, reduce, pull it down there, and come here, play around with it. G, expand. As you can see, do you see that why we put this hiding? we are only changing these shapes here. We're only changing these ones that have our mesh. We don't want to affect the upper ones. Yep. So click on it, G, reduce. You can even click the middle mouse button to move it along the Z axis, or Z on the keyboard, and you can play around with it. So this one is not nice. Let's come here. You can see, let's come here, G, and let's move, expand the circle. Expand the circle. Come here, this one, G. So you play around with it to bring out something nice, like an icing. So still come here. I'm a little bit slow, but I want you people to understand what I'm doing. Yep. So G, Z. We're about to finish, don't worry. So play around with it. Around with it to bring out the icing you want. The icing you want. All right. Hope I've made a perfect one. So if we go back to the object mode, we can see that our icing is coming out. As you can see, our icing is coming out. Icing is coming out like this one here. You can see. Yep, our icing is a bit coming out. So play around with it. Play around with it so that you can come out with something nice. So the next thing we are going to do now, if we look at the edges here, if I come and I expand and we look at the edges here, we see that on the edge here, it's kind of sharp. As you can see, there is a sharpness here. So we want it to be round because the dripping or the icing has to be round. As something is dropping, it has to be round at the bottom. So what do? We are going to be adding another modifier. We are going to still subdivision surface. Click on it, and you can see. Make sure the one that is selected is the icing. Yep. Add a subdivision surface. Yep, add a subdivision surface. As you can see, on our edges, we have added a subdivision surface on our icing. As you can see now, it is a little bit round at the edges. So the next thing we are going to do, we are going to also make sure that the dripping is attached to our donut here. So what we are going to do, we are going to go to the modifier we already created called solidify. Go to the drop down, go to the edge data, and go to the crease inner and increase it. As you can see you can see something is changing on our donut. As you can see, something is changing. Right now it was like this when we had not put. Now you can see that it has changed to that. So the dripping is closer to our donut. So if we are to go at a distance, you can see that our donut is coming out and our icing has come out in a perfect way. So the next thing we are going to do, if we look at our reference image, it has these drippings here, or droppings. Should I call them drippings or droppings? These ones here. Yeah, they are the ones we are going to be creating on our donut. So we are going to create them along these curves here that come down like this, because that's why we expect the heaviness of the icing to be, and it creates a dripping. Yep, so that's what we are going to be creating. How do we create them? Make sure that your icing is selected. Go to the edit mode, and when we go to the edit mode, we are going to target these dropping sections here. So how are we going to target them? Let's go and select the edge option here, and select the edge here, and we are going to click letter E on the letter E on our keyboard, it is for extruding. And if we click letter E, we can extrude around there. Then we again press again letter E, we extrude. So the more faces you create, the more information you have in case you want to edit your object. So if we go back to edit mode, you can see that they have created our dripping. They have created our dripping. Should I call it dripping? But you understand what I'm saying. Or dropping. Yep. Let's go back to our edit mode. We can still extrude up to there. So let's go to another part of our donut and we do the same. Around here, we select an edge. Let's select an edge here. E to extrude around there. We still extrude again around there. Yep, still extrude again around there. We go to this part also. Select this one, extrude around there. So it depends on how you want to do it. Around there. Extrude again. Around there. So we do it for the whole donut. There's also this part here. Select this. Extrude. Select this. Extrude. Select this. Extrude. Around there. I think we have done it for the most here. If we go back to the object mode, we can see that our dripping has come out the way we wanted. And now what's remaining is putting those colors and so forth. So play around with it for you to come up with something like this. Something like this. In our reference here, you can see that we have brought out something like that. So hope you have understood what I've created. Hope you have understood what I was doing. And our donut has come out in a very, very nice way. I know this one was long, but it was necessary for you to learn. So we have come out with our icing. It looks nice. Now the next part we shall be, I think, adding colors and so forth and doing more to make it more smooth. So do it the way you want. You can extend it. You can add more. Make sure the icing is selected. Deselect. First go back to the object mode. Make sure the icing is selected. Yep. Yep. What I wanted to do is push something a little bit more here. Select this edge, extrude a little bit there. So if we go back to the object mode, you can see that our icing has come out nicely. So play around with your donut and you will come out with something like this. Hope I've helped you, and hope you'll be watching the next video. Please subscribe. We remain Bazen Graphics. See you in the next part, which will be part 3. Thanks for watching.